People like you don't belong here, Amanda Pierce snapped, her voice cutting through the bank lobby like a slap to the face. You could hear the air shift. Sophie Grant froze mid-transaction. James Nolan nearly dropped his phone. Lauren Hayes glanced up, wide-eyed. And Vanessa Carter? She didn't move an inch, just stood there, calm as stone, her card still in her outstretched hand, moments before Amanda would fling it toward the floor. That single sentence changed everything. A quiet Tuesday afternoon at a brand-new Sterling National Bank branch in Miami was about to explode into 10 minutes of chaos, humiliation, and one of the most powerful reversals of fortune ever caught on camera. But before we walk through those glass doors with Vanessa Carter, let me ask you, where are you watching from today? Have you or someone you know ever been treated like you didn't belong? Just because of how you looked or what you wore? If you've ever felt invisible in places that should have welcomed you, you'll want to stay for this story. And if these kinds of stories matter to you, stories that shine a light on what's been kept quiet, go ahead and click subscribe. It helps more than you think. And if you feel like someone needs to hear this, give that like button a little nudge. Now then, it's 3:08 p.m. Miami heat pressing through the windows, and Vanessa Carter is about to walk into the branch she partly owns, wearing nothing but a simple navy blazer and her truth. She wasn't flashy. That wasn't her style. 42. Sharp. Self-made. And born right here in Miami. Vanessa Carter walked into that branch not to draw attention, but to investigate it. She'd been following anonymous complaints posted online. Claims that this new branch was quietly deciding who mattered based on their shoes, their watches, their skin. It wasn't policy. It wasn't written anywhere. But it was happening. And as CEO of the bank, with a personal ownership stake of 25%, Vanessa didn't come to make a scene. She came to see the truth for herself. She stepped in. No one greeted her. No one offered help. The manager, Derek Lawson, didn't even lift his eyes from his screen when she approached the counter. He waved her off without looking. "You'll have to wait your turn," he muttered flatly. No name asked, no ID taken, just an order to sit down and stay quiet. And so she did. 3 minutes later, in walked Richard Ward. White, well-dressed, flashy Rolex, loud voice, instantly. The air changed. Derek sprang up like a stagehand called into action. "Mr. Ward, welcome back. Sir, the private room is ready. Can I get you a cold drink? Coffee?" Amanda grinned from her post at the counter and purred. Now that's the kind of client we're here for. Ethan Cole, the quiet but looming one in the back, mumbled. "We don't need distractions today." Vanessa clocked every word, every pause, every look, and every choice. She texted her assistant, Olivia Tate. "Get down here, quietly, and bring your badge." Olivia replied in seconds, "Already on the way." Meanwhile, Sophie, the only one who seemed to notice what was happening, leaned toward Derek. "She's been waiting," she whispered. "Shouldn't we help her?" Derek scoffed. Amanda rolled her eyes. "She doesn't look like a priority," she muttered. That's when Vanessa stood, calm, polite, measured. "I'd like to make a withdrawal," she said. Derek looked up sharply. "How much?" $500,000, she said without blinking. And just like that, the room snapped to attention. Amanda's laugh came first, short, mocking. "Prove you're legit," she said. Derek frowned. "I'm flagging this as suspicious." "Excuse me?" Vanessa said. "We've had scammers before. It's for your protection." He replied. Ethan moved closer, arms folded. "Don't make a scene," he warned. Sophie's eyes widened. Lauren stood. "This is outrageous," James added. "She was here first." Vanessa looked Derek dead in the eye. This is unacceptable. He turned back to his screen. That's when Olivia stepped through the front doors, phone already in hand, camera rolling. Don't say another word, she said firmly. Derek looked startled. Who are you? I work for her, Olivia replied. That woman you just ignored? She's your boss. The room gasped. Ethan snorted. Amanda's face turned red. Her boss? You're kidding! Olivia didn't flinch. I wouldn't be if I were you. Vanessa stepped forward again, her voice steady. Try running that card again. And while you're at it, check the internal records for the name Vanessa Carter. Amanda grabbed the card from her hand, held it up, and then let it fall to the floor. You can see yourself out. She snapped. Sophie froze, then hit record. Customers were already watching, murmuring. Lauren crossed her arms. This is racism, James nodded. You need to stop this. Vanessa didn't bend down to pick up her card. She just stood taller. Olivia moved beside her. We're recording now, she said quietly. Ethan stepped forward again, blocking the exit. You need to leave, he growled. You're disrupting business. Vanessa tilted her head. You just disrupted your entire future. Sophie lifted her phone and quietly uploaded the clip to TikTok. The caption read, Bank ignores woman, prioritizes VIP, watch what happens. Within 10 minutes, it had 10,000 views. Comments poured in, this is disgusting. Shut them down. Blatant racism. And Vanessa. She hadn't raised her voice once, but the storm she brought was only getting started. Derek Lawson leaned forward slowly, as if trying to assert control over a moment that had already spun past his reach. He narrowed his eyes at Vanessa Carter and asked again, this time louder. You're withdrawing how much? Vanessa didn't even blink. 500,000. You could almost hear the room inhale. Amanda Pierce barked a dry laugh, shaking her head in disbelief. People like you don't have that kind of money, she said, voice soaked in condescension. You must be joking. Vanessa remained calm, unmoved. Would you like the account number again? Ethan Cole, still stationed near the back, now took a step closer as if summoned by tension. Ma'am, he said, lowering his voice, I need you to stop causing a scene. That's when Sophie spoke up, still behind the counter, voice cracking a little. She's not causing anything. She's a customer, a calm customer. Derek cut her off without turning. This doesn't feel right. I'm updating her account status to suspicious. His fingers clacked the keyboard fast, a little too fast. Vanessa stood her ground. Excuse me? She asked again. Her tone sharpened. You're accusing me of fraud? Derek didn't answer. Amanda leaned over Derek's shoulder, muttering loud enough for everyone to hear. She doesn't look like a high-value client. Something's off. Olivia Tate, still recording with one hand, was now furiously typing on her phone with the other. They're going to regret this, she said quietly. Twitter's going to explode in about 3 minutes. Behind her, Lauren Hayes folded her arms. I've been banking with Sterling for 6 years, she said. If this is how you treat people, I'll close my account right now. James Nolan stepped up beside her. Same here. This isn't the company I signed up for. Sophie glanced toward Vanessa, then back at Derek. This is wrong, and it's on record. Vanessa turned to Olivia. Call Michael, she said. Let's not waste time. Olivia was already ahead of her. He's on his way. Michael Reed, longtime board member and one of Vanessa's closest allies at Sterling, didn't hesitate when she called. He knew her voice. He knew what she stood for. And when Olivia sent him a short clip of Amanda laughing at Vanessa's withdrawal request, he replied with one word, coming. As Vanessa waited, the branch's unease was turning into open division. Half the staff looked tense. Sophie looked defiant. The other half, Derek, Amanda, and Ethan looked angry, flustered, and defensive. "You think walking in with a fake story and a camera is going to scare us?" Derek muttered toward Olivia. "This is protocol." "Your protocol," Olivia shot back, "is discrimination." The customers were no longer passive. One woman pulled out her phone and started live streaming. "This black woman just asked to withdraw money from her own account, and they accused her of fraud," she said to the camera. "This is happening right now in Miami." Lauren turned to Vanessa. "Have you gone through this before?" Vanessa nodded. "I have," she said quietly. "When I was 32, I walked into a bank to open a business account. They looked me up and down and told me I'd probably struggle to make my first deposit. Now I sit on the board of a company that owns 12 branches, and I'm here because this one's been acting funny since it opened." Olivia's phone pinged again. Twitter notifications were pouring in. She'd just posted, "CEO of a bank accused of fraud by her own staff. This is going viral." Within minutes, the video had already racked up over 50,000 views, and replies were rolling in. "Fire them all." "She owns the bank? This is insane." Back inside, Derek's voice was growing more strained. "You need to stop this now," he told Vanessa. "We'll get the authorities involved." "I welcome that," Vanessa said, eyes steady. "Maybe they can explain to me why my account was flagged as suspicious without cause." Sophie looked at Amanda and whispered, "Why are we doing this?" Amanda leaned back. "Because we've been told to focus on the people who matter, the ones who actually bring in money." Sophie frowned. "She's literally trying to withdraw $500,000. Amanda rolled her eyes. "Exactly. Something's not right. It doesn't add up." Ethan stepped forward again. "Ma'am, I'm asking you one more time to leave before this escalates further." Olivia positioned her phone straight on him. "Escalate. Then, I'm recording, and everyone in this lobby is watching." Lauren raised her voice. "We're all watching," James echoed. "We're witnesses." Derek tried to shift the focus. "There's a reason we prioritize some clients. This is standard across the industry." Vanessa didn't let that slide. "Is it also standard to humiliate people based on how they look?" Amanda turned toward the counter. "This is out of control." Vanessa turned back to Olivia. "How's that tweet doing?" Olivia smiled. "Exploding! 50,000 views and rising! Fast!" She then turned to Derek. "You're going to be famous." Derek glanced at the security cameras, as if hoping someone higher up was watching, ready to jump in. They weren't. That's when the second twist broke. Olivia turned to Vanessa and said quietly, "Sophie just overheard Derek give Amanda an instruction earlier. He told her to rank clients by appearance. He literally said to flag the ones who don't look high value." Vanessa's face tightened, but her voice stayed calm. "You heard that, Sophie?" The young teller nodded, clearly shaken. "I wasn't supposed to. But yes, that's what he said." Customers around the room started murmuring. Someone in the back yelled, "That's discrimination," Lauren added. "That's why she was ignored?" James shook his head. "That's corporate-level rot." Derek suddenly looked pale. "You're twisting everything," he said, now visibly sweating. Vanessa raised her hand gently, calming the room. "Don't worry," she said. "Everything will be made clear. This isn't my first storm." Sophie stepped out from behind the counter and stood beside Vanessa. "I'm texting Michael again," she said. "He needs to hear this." Amanda tried to interrupt her. "Don't overstep, Sophie." Sophie turned to her calmly. "I already did. The second I started recording this nonsense." Vanessa looked around. "Anyone else want to step forward?" A few more phones came up quietly. Ethan moved back, unease flickering in his stance. Olivia whispered, "The bank's trending." Derek looked ready to explode. This isn't how any of this works. Vanessa met his eyes. It is now, and right then. As Derek tried to retreat behind corporate policy, his image was already going viral. This wasn't just a bad look. This was a scandal in motion, the kind that reaches boardrooms before the sun sets. Olivia hit send on her latest post. CEO accused of fraud in her own bank, cameras rolling. You're watching history. Sophie Grant gasped when her screen blinked red. Vanessa's account had just been quietly altered. Someone had blocked large transactions from going through, not just flagged, but completely frozen. And it wasn't a system glitch. It was manual. Sophie clicked into the internal log. Derek's initials were right there. She looked over her monitor, heart pounding. "You blocked her account?" she asked in disbelief. Derek barely turned his head. "It's for safety. She can wait." Sophie looked at Vanessa, who hadn't heard yet. She was standing at the front of the line now, patiently holding her corporate card, clearly hoping logic would win out. "Ma'am," Sophie started softly, "your account's been tampered with." But before she could finish, Amanda snatched the card from Vanessa's hand again, this time with no ceremony, and hurled it onto the floor at Vanessa's feet. "We told you to leave," she snapped. "Stop disturbing our VIPs." A hush fell over the lobby. The card clattered once on the tile and then lay still, ignored. Vanessa didn't move. She didn't bend down to pick it up. Olivia inhaled sharply. Lauren Hayes whispered. "Oh my God," James Nolan stepped forward and said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You throw a customer's card on the floor now? Really?" Amanda's mouth twitched, but she said nothing. Derek leaned against the counter like he owned the place. "You've been warned," he said coolly. "One more word, and I'm reporting you to corporate as disruptive." Sophie could barely believe what was happening. She picked up her phone again, now filming with a shaky hand. Tears of frustration brimming in her eyes. This wasn't just bias. It was humiliation, targeted, deliberate, and Vanessa was standing in it like a storm-proof wall. Olivia stepped beside her again, phone held high. "Keep recording," Vanessa said quietly. "We're not done." Ethan Cole, still looming in the back like a security guard with something to prove, took a step toward Vanessa. "I told you once, get out," Sophie called out. "You can't treat her like this." Ethan turned, eyes sharp. "Stay in your lane, Sophie." But it was too late. Customers had already started to move. Lauren placed herself next to Vanessa, clutching her purse close. James came around to her other side. "We're not letting this happen," he said. "You're going to treat her with respect." Vanessa calmly looked at Derek. "Are you ready to lose your job?" Derek didn't even flinch. "You're not in charge here." Olivia smirked. "You want to bet?" Just then, the front door opened, and Michael Reed walked in, straight-backed, eyes scanning the scene. He took one look at Vanessa, the thrown card, the hostile staff, and then narrowed his gaze on Derek. "I'm going to assume there's an explanation," he said. Derek stammered, then pulled himself together. "She's causing a disturbance. We had to shut down her account." Michael raised an eyebrow. "You shut down your CEO's account?" Amanda froze. Ethan blinked. Sophie gasped. Derek's face dropped like a lead balloon. "She's the what?" Amanda muttered. Michael stepped closer, voice low and direct. "Vanessa Carter, CEO, partial owner, and your boss. You've got about 10 seconds to explain yourself before this becomes a termination meeting." Vanessa finally picked up her card from the floor. Not rushed, not flustered, just with a quiet kind of dignity that made everyone in the room shrink a little. "You should have just asked my name," she said to Derek. "But you were too busy measuring my worth by my clothes." Amanda backed up. "No one told us who she was." "You didn't ask," Olivia snapped. "You assumed." Sophie stepped forward, now emboldened. He changed her account, she said, pointing at Derek. Blocked large withdrawals, manually. I saw it. Michael's face hardened. Is that true? Derek started to speak, but Vanessa cut in. It's already been recorded. Every move, every word, and it's already on the internet. Michael turned toward Amanda. And you threw her card? Amanda tried to deflect. She was pushing. She was asking for her own money. James interrupted. She was polite. She was patient. You were disrespectful. Ethan took a step back and mumbled. We didn't know. Olivia turned to the growing crowd. But you treated her like she was nothing. That's what matters, Lauren added. This isn't just bad customer service. It's personal. Derek suddenly burst out. This isn't what it looks like. She didn't look like someone important. Silence. Pure silence. Michael exhaled through his nose, slow and deliberate. Say that again, he said. I dare you. Derek opened his mouth, then closed it. Sophie stepped in once more, this time her voice firmer than ever. He told Amanda earlier to prioritize people who look high value. I overheard it. I didn't want to believe it. But... She trailed off, shaking her head. Michael turned back to Vanessa. It's your call. Vanessa didn't hesitate. I'm not leaving. They are. Amanda sputtered. Wait, we're being fired? Olivia was still filming. Liv, right now, she whispered. 500,000 people are watching this clip. Vanessa turned toward Sophie. Thank you for speaking up. Sophie looked stunned. I just couldn't stay silent. That's leadership, Vanessa said softly. Amanda turned pale. Derek slumped onto the stool behind the counter like the wind had gone out of him. This isn't fair, he mumbled. You did this to yourself, Lauren said. We all saw it. By now, customers were cheering. Some clapped. One woman from the back shouted, You go, Queen! Vanessa remained composed. She glanced around and said, You all deserve better. This isn't about just me. This is about every person who ever walked into a place they were supposed to belong and got told to wait in the corner. Olivia handed her a tablet, showing the latest view count, over 200,000 views in under an hour. Sophie uploaded a new clip, Amanda throwing the card, Vanessa standing still, and Olivia declaring her the CEO. The caption read, Bank throws woman's card, kicks her out, then finds out she's the CEO. It didn't take long for the comments to pour in. This is racism. I'm done with Sterling. She's about to win everything. Ethan tried one last time to save face. Can't we talk this out? Vanessa turned to him. You blocked my exit. You watched me get humiliated. What's left to talk about? He didn't answer. He couldn't. Michael stepped in again. Vanessa, what do you want to do next? She looked over at Sophie. Get ready to be promoted. Then she looked at Olivia. Start prepping the public statement. And finally, to Derek, Amanda, and Ethan. Go wait in the conference room. Security will escort you out. Amanda turned to Derek in disbelief. You told us to do this. Derek didn't reply, but everyone knew the truth. And now, the whole world would too. The room had reached a boiling point. Derek Lawson's voice was now brittle with desperation as he barked at Amanda and Ethan. Remove her! Escort her out now! He pointed a trembling finger at Vanessa, whose silence was louder than anything he'd said all afternoon. Amanda hesitated, but Ethan stepped forward like he still believed he had some authority left to swing around. Let's go, he growled. Vanessa didn't move an inch. Olivia raised her phone slightly and said clearly, Touch her and I swear, you'll be the face of every headline by sunset. Ethan froze. Derek, now red-faced and sweating, spun toward Sophie. Give me that phone! You're not allowed to film inside a financial institution. This is illegal. He reached across the counter, trying to snatch the device from her hand. But James Nolan stepped between them with surprising speed. "You lay one hand on her," James warned, voice low and firm. "And I'll make sure you spend tonight in a holding cell." Derek's arm hovered mid-air for a moment before retreating slowly around them. The lobby had become a stage, and every customer was now an audience member, watching in real time as a drama they never expected to witness unfolded before their eyes. Lauren Hayes stepped up beside Vanessa and said firmly, "She's not going anywhere. You are." Olivia smiled tightly. "And you're viral now. In case you're wondering, 500,000 views and counting," Amanda muttered under her breath. "This branch is ruined." Ethan just stared blankly at the floor, but the biggest blow hadn't landed yet. Michael stepped forward and opened a folder he'd been carrying the whole time. "Vanessa," he said calmly, "do you want to address this, or shall I?" Vanessa nodded. "Go ahead." Michael pulled out a printed document and turned toward the group, staff, customers, and camera phones alike. "This is a memo that circulated through regional leadership just 2 months ago," he began. "It encourages branch managers to elevate high-value clients based on appearance and perceived wealth." The lobby fell silent again. "Appearance?" Lauren repeated, her voice tight with disgust. James shook his head in disbelief. "So this wasn't just one guy being ignorant? This was part of a larger policy?" Michael nodded grimly. "Encouraged. Not written in policy, but passed down verbally and through private emails. We've got the documentation. We're investigating other branches now." Vanessa finally spoke again, her voice like steady steel. "That's why I came here in person. Not just to see if the complaints were true, but to see how deep it went. Now we know." Derek stumbled backward and leaned against the desk. "That's not what it meant," he said. Barely audible. Olivia tilted her head. "Then why are there multiple employees who overheard you say exactly that?" Amanda, trembling now, whispered, "You said to focus on people who look like they matter. That's what you told us." Michael turned to her. "Thank you for confirming that." Amanda shook her head. "I didn't want to do it. He made us," Sophie added, "and he tried to get me to cover for him today." The weight of it all came crashing down in that moment. The customers didn't just feel uncomfortable anymore. They felt betrayed. A few were openly emotional now. One woman wiped her eyes. A man near the corner whispered, "This is why I left my last bank." Lauren reached for Vanessa's hand and said, "You don't just belong here. You should have been celebrated here." Vanessa gave a small nod, still calm. "This is exactly why representation matters. Because when people like me show up in these rooms, we shake the furniture, and sometimes the whole floor needs replacing." James turned toward the other customers. "You all seeing this? This is what accountability looks like?" Derek, barely standing now, snapped, "This whole thing is overblown." Michael cut him off. "You falsified account access, you profiled a co-owner of this company, and you tried to physically intimidate staff and customers. You're done, and you'll be hearing from legal." Ethan tried to defend himself again, but his words were empty now. "I just followed directions," he mumbled. "I was doing my job." Olivia's camera turned toward him. "Your job was to protect the integrity of this place. And you failed." Vanessa stepped forward, now directly addressing everyone in the branch. "I want every customer in here to know that we hear you. This company was built to serve everyone, no matter your background, your wardrobe, or your bank balance. That stops being a slogan today. It starts being action." The crowd broke into soft applause. A few people even teared up. Olivia turned to Sophie. "Can you get ready to make an announcement?" Sophie, still shaken but standing tall, nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Vanessa faced her with a warm, quiet strength. "You stood up. That matters. You didn't have to. But you did. Sophie swallowed. I just couldn't stay quiet. Exactly, Vanessa said. That's why you'll be running this branch soon. Sophie blinked, stunned. Wait. What? Effective immediately, Vanessa confirmed. We'll talk logistics later. Derek opened his mouth again, weakly. This isn't fair, Olivia interrupted him, finally turning off her camera. Fair is you walking out of here with your belongings instead of in handcuffs. Michael signaled security, and 2 uniformed guards entered the branch from the side hallway. Escort them to the conference room, he said. Let them sit in silence for a while. Amanda hung her head. Ethan walked stiffly behind her. Derek had to be nudged by one of the guards. And just like that, the toxic trio disappeared behind a door they once controlled. Vanessa watched them go without saying a word. She didn't need to. Their careers had ended the moment they decided to see her as a problem instead of a partner. Lauren leaned over and whispered to James, You think this'll be on the news? James chuckled. It already is. Sophie's next post hit Twitter just as the door closed behind Derek. The video clip featured the exact moment Michael revealed the appearance-based memo. The caption read, Corporate memo encourages profiling. CEO shows up in person. Chaos follows. Within minutes, it was retweeted over 10,000 times. Olivia smiled as the notifications rolled in. We're trending. Nationwide. Vanessa turned to Michael. Get the board ready. We'll need a full review first thing in the morning. Michael nodded. Already working on it. Vanessa turned to the crowd one last time. This isn't just about firing bad staff. It's about rebuilding the whole system. One that doesn't reward assumptions, but serves with respect. And with that, she led the way into the back office. Not as someone who had been humiliated, but as the leader who had walked straight into the fire and came out commanding the room. Michael Reed stood tall in front of the lobby, voice clear and commanding, as he addressed everyone still watching. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to formally introduce the person many of you were denied the decency to respect today, Vanessa Carter, CEO of Sterling Bank, and 25% owner of this entire institution. The room erupted, not in chaos, but in relief. Applause burst out from customers, from Sophie, from strangers who now felt like witnesses to a reckoning. Vanessa stood still for a moment, letting the weight of that announcement settle like sunlight through a storm cloud. Amanda staggered back as if the words had hit her in the chest. No, she whispered. This isn't real. Derek, still sulking at the edge of the conference room doorway, tried to step forward, hand half raised like he could rewrite the past 5 minutes. This is a mistake, he stammered. You set us up. Vanessa didn't even turn toward him. She looked at Olivia and said calmly, Begin termination proceedings, effective immediately. Derek Lawson, Amanda Pierce, Ethan Cole. Olivia nodded, already unlocking the executive dashboard on her tablet. Derek finally broke. This is a lie! You can't do this! He shouted. I built this branch from the ground up. Vanessa turned her head just slightly and said without emotion, You built it on rotten wood. Amanda dropped into a chair, face pale. You've wrecked everything, Ethan muttered under his breath. This is your fault. Then sank into silence beside her. The 3 of them sat like statues in the corner, suddenly stripped of the authority they had wielded with so much arrogance just moments earlier. Lauren Hayes raised her hand like they were in church. Excuse me, but justice looks good on you. Laughter followed. Soft and sincere, James Nolan added. I came in here to deposit a check. Now I feel like I've witnessed history. Olivia turned to Vanessa. The footage is still climbing. You're the top trend on every platform right now, Michael chimed in. Corporate's already calling. You've got full support from the board. This will be dealt with thoroughly. Vanessa took a deep breath, then turned toward Sophie. You spoke up when you didn't have to. You were the only one behind that counter who remembered what service means. Effective immediately. You're being promoted to branch supervisor. Sophie blinked, mouth open. Wait, me? Vanessa nodded. You led with integrity. That matters. And we're going to rebuild this branch around people who believe in fairness. Not just sales targets. Sophie looked down, then back up, visibly moved. Thank you. I just couldn't let it happen like that. Vanessa gave her a warm smile. That's exactly why you're the right person. Behind them, Amanda let out a bitter laugh. You think this fixes everything? You think this makes you a hero? Vanessa turned slowly. I'm not interested in being a hero. I'm interested in ending the silence that allowed people like you to thrive. Amanda stood, wobbling slightly. He made me do it. Derek said if I didn't follow his lead, I'd be out within a month. Vanessa raised a brow. So you targeted people who didn't look like VIPs? Amanda's voice broke. We were told to focus on the right kind of clients, people who brought in image. Vanessa turned to Olivia. Get that on record. Olivia, still filming, nodded. Already did, Derek growled from the side. She's lying, Sophie snapped. No, you told her. You told all of us. And you tried to get me to lie about it, too. Amanda turned toward Sophie. I'm sorry, she whispered, a sliver of something human cracking through her voice. Vanessa didn't answer right away. She just looked at each of them, Derek, Amanda, Ethan, and let the silence stretch. Not out of cruelty, but because sometimes silence tells the truth louder than words ever could. A ripple of emotion rolled through the room. Customers began clapping again, this time with more conviction. They weren't just witnessing a takedown, they were witnessing a correction. Vanessa turned to the crowd. If any of you were mistreated today, or any other day, know this, it ends now. This isn't just a PR response, this is real reform. Lauren wiped a tear and smiled. That's leadership, James said. I'm proud to bank here again. Olivia stepped up. I'll be taking statements from anyone who wants to speak. Every voice matters. If you saw or heard something today that concerned you, let's talk about it now. Several customers lined up near the side, ready to share what they'd seen, what they'd felt. This wasn't just a branch anymore. It was becoming a place of reckoning. Security returned to escort the dismissed employees from the building. Derek resisted until the last second, muttering bitter threats under his breath. Amanda went quietly, shoulders slumped. Ethan stared at the floor the whole way out. As they disappeared through the side hallway, Vanessa watched them go with the same poise she'd shown from the beginning. No revenge, just closure. Let them walk, she said. We've got better things to do. She turned to Sophie. Let's get your new desk set up. There's a lot of work ahead. Sophie smiled, nerves and excitement all wrapped into one. I won't let you down. I know, Vanessa replied. That's why you're here. Outside, the crowd had begun to form. Word had spread fast. Reporters were gathering near the front steps. Olivia handed Vanessa her phone. You're officially headline news. The clip Sophie posted. CEO fires entire bank staff on spot. Had just crossed 1 million views. The top comment read, she's unstoppable. The next, legendary. Another simply said, this is how you lead. Vanessa scrolled once, then handed the phone back. Let the story tell itself. We've got real work to do. Michael leaned in. Tomorrow morning, we'll finalize the rollout of reform measures across all branches. You'll lead the announcement. Vanessa nodded. We're not just reacting. We're changing the game. She looked back at the branch one more time. Customers were still inside, being helped, being heard. Sophie was already coordinating with the new team. Olivia was collecting names and numbers. Lauren and James stood nearby, chatting quietly about what they'd just witnessed. And outside, the world was still watching, but now with respect instead of judgment. Vanessa took a slow, full breath. "Let's make sure this never happens again," she said. "Not in this branch. Not in any branch." And with that, she stepped back inside, not as the woman they tried to push out, but as the one who reclaimed the room, reshaped the culture, and reminded everyone what real leadership looks like. Vanessa Carter didn't waste a single moment once Derek, Amanda, and Ethan were escorted out of the building, with the toxic presence gone. She moved quickly and decisively, like someone who'd spent her life building not just a title, but a legacy grounded in purpose. She turned to Sophie Grant, who was still standing by the counter, now visibly overwhelmed but glowing with something new: responsibility. "We're not just going to patch the surface," Vanessa said gently. "We're going to rebuild from the foundation up. I want you to take full control of this branch starting today. You'll be acting supervisor until the paperwork clears, and after that, we'll make it official." Sophie blinked, still processing, and then nodded with quiet resolve. "I'll give everything I've got," she said. "I know," Vanessa replied. "That's why you're here." In the background, Olivia was already coordinating with headquarters to bring in replacement staff. Emily Stone and Mark Davis, both handpicked by Vanessa for their integrity and history of customer-first work ethics. They arrived within the hour, walking in with open smiles and eager energy, greeted not with suspicion, but with hope. Vanessa gathered the staff and the remaining customers and spoke directly. No script, no PR fluff. "What happened here wasn't a one-time error," she said. "It was the result of an unchecked culture that let bias grow quietly, invisibly, until it turned into damage. That ends now." The lobby that had been a battleground hours earlier had transformed into a space of renewal. Sophie helped organize a makeshift welcome desk where the new staff greeted customers with sincerity. Vanessa personally apologized to every customer who had witnessed the incident, taking time to hear their concerns. Lauren and James, who had stood by her from the start, stayed to help guide others and share what they'd seen. "We just want to help," Lauren said. "Today meant something." Vanessa nodded. "And your voice helped make it happen." Across the room, Olivia began documenting every complaint, every concern, turning the chaos of the day into a roadmap for the future. Michael Reed returned from a brief call with corporate and gave Vanessa a firm nod. "The board's behind everything. Full investigation approved. We'll be issuing a formal statement and internal audit by morning." Vanessa looked around. "Make sure it's not just a formality. This branch becomes the model. If we can root out bias here, we can do it anywhere." But just when it seemed like the storm had passed, Sophie approached Vanessa with a tight expression. "There's something else you need to know," she said. Vanessa turned. "What is it?" Sophie lowered her voice. "While I was helping transfer files from Derek's computer, I found a training document, not official policy, but notes from a regional supervisor. It encouraged staff to profile by presentation, favor clients who fit the brand, and quietly redirect low-yield walk-ins." Vanessa's jaw tightened. "Do we have a name?" Sophie nodded. "Jackson Lee. He's the one who visited us during orientation last month. He told Derek to focus on people who make the branch look successful." Vanessa paused, then gave a slow, deliberate nod. "Then this doesn't stop at Derek. It goes higher." Olivia immediately flagged it and sent it to Michael. He took one look and said, "We're expanding the audit region-wide." Inside, the shift was palpable. Customers weren't just sticking around out of curiosity. They were engaging. They were staying because something rare had just happened. Accountability didn't come from a press release. It walked in the front door and spoke face to face. As word spread, the once cold atmosphere of the bank began to warm. An elderly couple that had been watching quietly from the corner approached Vanessa. "My husband and I have been banking with Sterling for 30 years, the woman said softly. "We've never seen anything like this." Vanessa placed a hand over hers. "And you shouldn't have had to," she called over Olivia. "Make sure they get follow-up from me personally. Let's invite them to the customer advisory panel." Olivia nodded, already typing. Meanwhile, Derek, despite being removed, had not gone quietly. He had taken a seat just outside the front doors, visible through the windows, arms crossed like he was daring someone to confront him. "You want to call security again?" Olivia asked, glancing at Vanessa, but Vanessa shook her head. "No need. Let him sit there. Let the world see what entitlement looks like when it runs out of power." Lauren chuckled. "That's a lesson all by itself," James added. "He's hoping someone will defend him, but no one's coming." Inside, Sophie finalized her first directive as acting supervisor. Mandatory inclusivity training for all incoming staff, monthly customer feedback forums, and an anonymous reporting system. Vanessa reviewed it, nodded, and said, "Add an internal whistleblower line straight to my desk. We're not leaving anyone voiceless again." Olivia's latest Twitter post was already gaining traction. She had posted a photo of Sophie shaking Vanessa's hand with the caption, "Bank bias exposed. Supervisor fired. Reform begins. This is what change looks like." Within an hour, the image had passed 2.5 million views. Comments poured in. "Vanessa is a force. From silence to spotlight. Brilliant move. Now this is leadership." Meanwhile, reporters had started setting up outside the branch. The story was becoming national. Vanessa didn't hide from it. She welcomed it. She asked Olivia to prepare a short statement. "Keep it simple," she said. "Tell the truth. No spin. People are watching not just to see what we say, but how we act." By the time the sun began to set, the branch no longer felt like a scene of crisis. It felt like the start of something new. Vanessa walked to the center of the room, took a slow look around, and smiled. "Let's make this a place people trust again," she said quietly. "A place they actually belong." And with that, the next chapter had already begun, 4 months later. Vanessa Carter sat by the floor-to-ceiling windows of her Miami suite, watching the ocean move like a breath held and released. The chaos of that infamous bank incident had long since calmed, but its impact hadn't faded. It had only grown louder in quieter, deeper ways. Across from her, a digital tablet lit up with a final agenda for the morning, a board meeting with David Brooks and Sarah Collins. The final step in rolling out a nationwide reform package across all Sterling branches. The reforms, born from the chaos of that single afternoon, were now permanent policy, new training systems, strict audit trails, and protections for employees who dared to speak out. Sophie Grant, once a nervous teller who had chosen truth over comfort, was now a full branch manager. Her story had been featured in a national business publication titled Courage at the Counter when Vanessa had texted her that morning. "Are you ready for today?" Sophie responded instantly. Always. Inside the boardroom, the atmosphere had shifted from defense to alignment. David, a longtime chairman, raised his coffee and said, "This is the kind of leadership we talk about but rarely witness in action," Sarah added. "We don't just owe you an apology. We owe you a thank you for forcing us to face what we were too comfortable to see." Vanessa, composed but honest, nodded and replied, "Change only works when it's no longer optional." The meeting closed with unanimous approval for her company-wide directives. A press release would go out that afternoon, not celebrating the company's growth, but owning its failure and its recovery. This isn't about saving face, Vanessa had insisted. It's about saving trust. Outside the boardroom, the Miami branch had become a symbol of what transparency could look like in real time. Lauren Hayes, once a bystander, now volunteered twice a week at the branch's community desk, helping new customers navigate their accounts and financial planning. James Nolan had been invited to speak at a town hall on consumer dignity, standing alongside Sophie to talk about the importance of allyship, and Olivia Tate, still by Vanessa's side, had taken on a larger role in public affairs, ensuring that the brand voice was never louder than the actual work being done behind the scenes. "You changed the company," Olivia had said one night after a long meeting. But Vanessa shook her head. "No, we held up a mirror. The company chose to change." Back at the suite, Vanessa reflected on all the quiet battles that led to that one loud moment. She remembered her first account denial at 32. She remembered walking into rooms where her title felt invisible. And she remembered that moment Amanda threw her card on the floor. How every ounce of humiliation had turned into fuel. "Accountability isn't anger," she'd once told a journalist. "It's clarity." That clarity had lit the path forward, not just for herself, but for every employee who had been afraid to speak, and every customer who had been made to feel small. Later that day, Vanessa stood quietly outside the Miami branch, greeting customers one by one, smiling genuinely at familiar faces. A small group had gathered, not with protest signs, but with thank you notes, flowers, and quiet gratitude. One elderly man handed her a letter. "I never thought I'd see a bank own up to anything," he said. "But you proved me wrong." She held the envelope carefully and said, "We still have work to do." Nearby, Olivia received a ping. Sophie's latest TikTok video had just hit 5 million views. The caption, "CEO transforms bank after scandal. Watch what happens next." The top comments read, "Vanessa's changing everything. This is what leadership means. Hope lives here." And just as Vanessa turned to head inside, a familiar face appeared near the corner of the sidewalk. Derek Lawson, dressed in a rumpled shirt, eyes shadowed with regret. He stood silently, holding a small envelope in one hand. He didn't say a word, just stared. Olivia leaned closer. "Should we call security?" Vanessa studied him for a moment. Then, with calm resolve, she shook her head. "No. Let the cameras roll. Let the people decide what redemption looks like." Derek made no move. He was no longer a threat. He was just a symbol now, a warning. And as customers walked past him without pause, as they stepped into a branch that now welcomed them with open dignity, he was left standing in the shadow of what once was. Vanessa turned back toward the entrance, smiled at Sophie holding the door open, and stepped inside. A new day had begun, not just for the bank, but for every single person who believed that even the most powerful institutions could be held accountable when someone brave enough finally said, "Enough."